in Module 4, we'll continue to work through examples of ways we can visualize stories, illustrations, and frameworks as part of visualizing MMRIA data. Here, we'll focus on visualizing missed opportunities along the continuum of care. We can think about these missed opportunities and the associated visualizations in two ways. One is looking across different cases at the state of the missed opportunities across different cases and different items that we would hope would happen, or looking at a less aggregated and more individual picture, like the journey of an individual woman. Here, we'll focus on a user story for, as a community health advocate, I need to communicate the frequency of missed opportunities along the continuum of care in order to advocate for more comprehensive mental health services. In our demo session right now, we'll talk about how to set up different illustrations of a journey map, as you see in these examples here, in PowerPoint or Excel, depending on if the plot is for a single case or multiple cases. And we'll think about considering the careful balance of personalizing the visualization with protecting patient privacy. As we look at this information, we're focusing on data distilled from the MMRIA case narratives and more granular information about the opportunities for care and treatment along a patient journey. Let's talk about the aggregate visualization, looking at multiple cases at once first. Here, you can see that we're communicating information about missed opportunities for care that happen in prenatal, labor and delivery, and postpartum settings, focused here specifically on substance use disorder as a component connected to mental health. We can see here that in 7 of 18 maternal overdose deaths, if each of these individual rows of dots represents one case, the birthing person did not receive any SUD-related care or treatment throughout pregnancy or postpartum. As we look at this visualization, this is created with a hack of a scatter plot where we've plotted XY coordinates and then indicated if for each XY coordinate, the person received a certain kind of care or not. The filled circle indicate that care or treatment was received, and the open circle is a missed opportunity for care. The setup of this chart is similar to other scatter plot hacks that we've discussed during this training session, and you're welcome to explore it further in your Excel workbook under the Module 4 section, which includes an example of this missed opportunities construction of this graphic. What we'll focus on today in this example is drilling in a bit more into the more personal example. In a more personal story, we focus on one individual person's journey. Here, we would want to go back over into a case narrative. You can see that in this case, in our more aggregate data, we've created specific stop points along that continuum of care or journey and identified where care was received or not. When focusing on one individual story, we can be a bit more nuanced in where we focus our efforts. Let's go ahead and look at a mock case for an overdose-related death and this case narrative. As we look at this case description, we can read through it and look for individual points that we think would be notable as we think about the journey through being pregnant and moving into the postpartum period. When someone started their prenatal visits, where referrals were made, for example, here to a methadone program in the county, where routine maternity care was received or not received, and other constraints and considerations related to what happened during the prenatal visits. As we work our way through this case narrative, you'll see various touch points where the patient interacted with the medical care system and challenges and issues like missing various appointments in the second and third trimester. Continuing on through to the point of delivery, we can see additional touch points throughout that continuum of care, from the point of delivering the baby, and then through to additional periods and places where there were touch points with the care system, or where the patient became lost to follow-up in some kind of way. As we work through these case narratives, we can identify various different points at which we may want to plot a point on a journey map. Going through and highlighting each of these sections or annotating them in your own documentation can be one helpful way to identify what these various points are. And then we can count up the number of different instances or number of different events that we want to include in our journey map. Let's go ahead and talk about how we might set that up visually. One visual way to set up a journey map is to use a figure or shape or outline that calls back to who is represented in that journey. Alternately, you can represent journey maps in straight lines or other paths. We're going to focus on how we can create the sketch of a simple journey map in a tool like PowerPoint. This may be an example where you want to collaborate with a graphic designer, where you set up the initial structure of what the journey map could look like, and then you work with the designer to refine it and create a final visual product. Let's exit out of full screen mode and focus here on how we might construct this in PowerPoint. You can see that we've imported a visual image of a pregnant woman. If we were to go ahead and create a journey map focused around the missed opportunities for a continuum of care, we could think in the same kind of shapes that we used in our other continuum of care graphic. Here, for example, using circles to represent where there was care provided or a missed opportunity for care. We can use the open circle with a white fill and a dark, thick outline in order to represent where there was a missed opportunity. To keep the same size of the circle with the same border, we'll copy that circle again and fill in the circle to represent where care was received. We can change the colors and other features here. If we want to represent the person or the journey as the shape or figure of the woman, it can be helpful if you have the ability to use the draw features within your individual instance of PowerPoint. Here we can trace an outline around the shape and silhouette that we'll then use as part of our graphics. If we click on this outline, we can further refine it. For example, if we're using the filled circles, making the outline the indigo color of the circles themselves, and perhaps making the outline thicker. You also could change the picture format and the fill color to recolor it in the color of that person. This graphic was pulled from the Noun project and colored to be this default color. Alternately, if drawing silhouettes is intimidating or challenging and you want to take a more straightforward approach, you could draw a simpler shape. Let's take, for example, a simple journey. Maybe we create a more wavy construction of what a journey or pathway might look like. We again can edit this shape to match the outline colors of our graphics and make it a bit thicker. Or to keep things very simple, you could draw a simple straight line. In each of these cases, we would want to identify from our case narrative how many different points we have along our journey map. Let's say, for example, we're going to put 10 opportunities for care and support related to mental health. If we have 10 opportunities for care, that means we would need 10 circles along each of our different journey paths. We can simply duplicate the shape of the circle and replicate it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. It helps to set up the initial construction of what the journey map might look like. You also could choose to add additional features like breaking up the journey path to include various different periods. For example, focusing on different points in time, like the pregnant, labor and delivery, and postpartum periods. As we think about the ways that we construct this graphic or information, setting this up allows us to then go ahead and start adding additional annotations. Let's go ahead and look at what this would look like along a silhouette as well. Here, if we want to make an easy way to select all of these different dots, we can simply copy them as a group, paste, and layer on top of our shape. Thinking in shapes is a powerful way to create different framework graphics or illustrations that let us see different key points of information. You can see that we drew that circle before we drew this line. This is just behind that line, so we can bring it forward. If we know that of those 10 opportunities for care, same feature could be done across the line. We had 3 different places in the prenatal period where opportunities were taken advantage of and care provided. We could go ahead and we could fill in those circles, and then perhaps one in the postpartum period. Once we've identified and filled in the circles for where care was provided, we can insert a text box, or for more formatting flexibility, a square shape, and indicate, for example, that this is where patients delivered healthy baby. And was assessed for substance use disorder at the time of labor and delivery. Here, be cautious about any of your fill colors on the squares to ensure that they actually do have adequate contrast to be readable. And we'll also remove this outline. You can annotate both the dots for the individual opportunities and not. For example, here we say patient lost Medicaid coverage and discontinued methadone. And you can add these annotations and boxes around these different points in time. By creating this story, you're creating a visual pathway through the journey of what happened for this individual woman. You're giving your readers an opportunity to understand what that journey looked like. And instead of going ahead and using just one single case narrative, you could choose to create a more illustrative journey. For example, if this was, instead of being one single case, you could actually title this as an illustrative journey of missed opportunities for care, and specific to pregnancy associated overdose deaths in sample state in 2020, if that's, for example, our period. To simplify our final formatting on this, for example, let's go ahead and remove these additional dots or features. Here, you can use things like text hierarchy in order to focus attention on specific parts of the story. For example, adding a key takeaway here at the top, like this 10 opportunities for care. Let's make sure that all of our different fonts are consistent across all of our different text elements. And we would need to continue adding any final annotations or other pieces of information. Functionally, though, this is how we could set up an illustrative journey map that could tell us the story of what happened and the missed opportunities for care. You can see that this is very different and distinct from how we're visualizing the broader picture of the many missed opportunities that we see as a pattern across multiple cases. This provides a slightly more anonymized version of this kind of story, but you can achieve a similar end by distilling different parts of different case narratives and creating an illustrative journey or pathway through care. As you think about ways of humanizing these stories, these different journey maps can be helpful ways of helping different people understand and connect with the stories of your different women who were lost to pregnancy-associated deaths. But again, be cautious, thoughtful, and careful about how you represent those individuals, both in the language that you use in the shorthand annotations, in the visualizations and the shapes and the figures that you use, and in the ways in which you anonymize those journeys and stories. I hope that this has given you a glimpse into ways to create some of these simple graphics in a tool like PowerPoint. If you want to further animate these graphics, what's great about building a graphic in PowerPoint is you can actually animate each of these individual circles. For example, if I wanted to show the animations of starting with the first point in time, adding 2 missed opportunities by clicking on the fade option, and then building in the remaining opportunities that happened. This is one additional way that you can tell a visual story as you do your presentation of this information to different audiences. Animation is a powerful tool in data visualization to make it easier for someone to digest information in bite-sized pieces. Here we start with, there were 10 opportunities for care and support related to mental health. And we see those visually illustrate and animate as we click through our presentation. That concludes this section of Module 4, focused here on visualizing a journey map of missed opportunities for care. We hope that you found it informative and useful and gotten you to think a bit more about how to go ahead and use PowerPoint as a powerful tool for creating visual illustrations.